So very early in the morning at dark 30, welcome back to APAW's Plain Jane Reality. This is the 61st video I may post, or maybe not, but we'll see how it goes. I feel like I owe an apology to anyone that views my videos because they're not very well organized. But I'm 2 years into this project, or in its most wonderful definition. It's kind of a ministry of mine to explain myself, or try to share some of the reveals that I think I've understood about life in order to come to terms with not living anymore, and being gone from this miracle that we all share. Coming to terms with not being around is kind of a big deal, I think, at any age, whether you're 15 and deciding to kill yourself, or whether you're 50 and deciding to kill yourself, or whatever age you may encounter that existential crisis of what life is about and what the purpose of your life is. And all I can tell you is that each one of us creates that meaning. Really is, we're compelled to create that meaning because humans need meaning, and we don't do well if we don't think there's some sense to life. So over the last 2 years, actually over the last 10 or 15, I've tried to write things about life and what it means to me, trying to explain myself to God, which I realized that was a vain attempt. God already knows everything. He knows you, He knows your thoughts, or she knows your thoughts before you even have them. So anyhow, be that as it may, for those who are believers or non-believers, of course I feel like there aren't any atheists in foxholes, and I've tried to reference that a few times. Not that I'm much of a believer myself. I'm not very religious, although I did have a conversion to Judaism, which I've lightly referenced. But anyhow, getting back to the purpose of these this vain attempt to reduce life to words, which is impossible. Words are always a pale reflection of our felt reality, and I've mentioned that of all the different arts, writing and poetry are not quite as good as dance and film and theater and things that have human enterprises that have movement involved and allude to truth rather than try to hit people over the head with it like a big sledgehammer. But I'm trying to do the simple thing and make sense out of the time frame that we're in this 2024 time frame, some people call the singularity, where everything has resulted in some kind of contradiction or opposite. Everybody's very polarized now, thinking partisan thoughts of who might save us, and no one can save you. You're done. The only person that can save you is yourself and the meaning that you create in your life. So it's really, if you want to boil down religion or finding meaning in your life, it's about the meaning that you attribute to your existence, and then of course what you do with it. Most people are very honorable and wonderful, and they have responsible lives, and they meet their obligations, and they do what they're supposed to do, and they don't think anything about it, and they don't make a big deal or have to make pronouncements like me, who am trying to justify really a long life of not much in the way of accomplishments. But I have done a few things. I have come away with some life's reveals. I keep trying to boil it down to simpler and simpler explanations, but there's no way to do that. It's sort of a piecemeal process, serendipity and what you gain as you go through making mistakes and learning and paying your dues. And finally, if you're fortunate, you arrive at some kind of sedate, serene state of acceptance of all the things that you weren't happy with, maybe at one point. Like me, spent most of my life being unhappy, and I can't say that I've reached any kind of wonderful state now, except I'm a little bit more humble, a little bit more aware that it's only you. It's all about how you deal with what life gives you. And there are so many brave, courageous, and brilliant people out there that deal forthrightly and with great humility with the tough stuff that life has served them with. And I'm not in that league. There are too many people that carry more weight and have much more stellar lives. So don't take me as an example of how to be. Each person creates their own reality and defines their life based on their best intuition, and hopefully and most people get pretty decent training. Some of us are dealt a difficult hand and either overcome and deal with it and come to terms with it, or they don't and they become lost souls. So I'm trying to prevent myself from becoming a lost soul, and I'm trying to share some of those ideas with other people, and especially the younger folks who didn't grow up in the quiet, peaceful time like I did, the great America of post-World War II times, when things were a little more sedate and regular, and people were more humble and low-key. So a lot of tolerance in the 50s and acceptance, and people were left to do what they pretty much wanted to do here in America anyhow, the United States of America. And I've tried to explain that this is just a idea of how we would like life to be if we could have everything the way we wanted it. And of course we can never completely do that because we are not perfect. As a matter of fact, most people that I've ever known are incredibly contradictory, arbitrary, capricious, and did I mention contradictory? We're not the sharpest tool in the shed, and we're probably the wackiest species on the planet. And if you look back through human history, it's got to impress you with the fact that we've been screwing up for a long time. And we have a lot of half-baked ideas. There's a lot of ideas in our culture that are not correct. And I've tried to point that out a few times. So it's what you make it. Life is what you make it. It can be a glass half full or a glass half empty. What you bring to it is what it is. You know, you reap what you sow, and everybody gets what they put out. If you put out anger and hostility and upset, that's what you're probably going to get back. It's not rocket science. It's very simple, really. I would like to think that, as my brother said, we're here for a good time, but not a long time. And some people seem to enjoy things better, and maybe that's because we allow ourselves to enjoy things. So it's what permission you give to yourself to love life. And there's one analogy some of you may be familiar with. When a mother is breastfeeding her baby, I don't know anything about this myself, but I was fascinated by the fact that there's what they call the letdown response. The woman has to be relaxed enough, the mother, to breastfeed. And it's a pleasurable activity both for the baby and for the mother, but it's what they call the letdown response. And you let down, you allow yourself to have pleasure and to enjoy things and to love your infant, because that's what we do. We're mammals. And but I think it's the analogy is that life is like that. You know, you get out of it exactly what you put into it and what you allow yourself to experience. And if you are always looking for the negative and looking for perfect, you're always going to be disappointed. And when you can be grateful and tolerant and accept that life can be beautiful, and if you treat people with a certain measure of respect, usually you get that respect back, and things are like ripples in a pond. You know, positive stuff reverberates and resonates and spreads out, and maybe the good stuff lasts and the bad stuff falls away, and all we live for is what we leave behind, as the Grateful Dead sing. So again, I can't winnow it down. I can only say based on what I've seen so far, and I've been very fortunate and blessed, and I'd like to share that and allow other people to get a glimpse. I mean, you don't have to go through life unhappy and be just discontented. Although if you want to do that, that's your choice. This current age that we're in the 2020s, in the great singularity, in the machine age of capitalist mercantile interactions, we have so much, and yet we're so dissatisfied. And you don't need that much really in life, and all the good stuff is actually free, and all the most beautiful things are available to most of us if we just look upward and kind of wake up in the morning and say, thank you, Lord. You know, speak first to whatever you feel is divine or has divinity in this life, and you slowly, some people get it very early because they've gotten good training, and some other people like me take a long time to figure it out. And I mean, even now, I can't say I figured it out, but I do have certain things that I've gathered through many battles, lost and won, and mostly lost. And the horrible part in some respects is that ultimately we all lose, and we all continue to go on or not, but we're all going to reach, we all have the same trajectory and race. You know, we're called here, we're born, and we have a life, we live, we're an organic piece of a living matrix, and we pass, and we go on to whatever's after this. And I don't have any clue about that. I don't know how anybody can. But nevertheless, is there any point to waking up and being unhappy and miserable? Or whether you're going to fill your day with, going to spend your time grousing about all the beauty that surrounds you and all the blessings that you have in your life. That doesn't make any sense. So this is my particular rant after 2 years in of doing these videos, and this is the 61st video, kind of after I had some false teeth put in, so I'm learning how to talk again. And we don't know how that's going to work out. Hopefully it'll help. We don't know. My life is not a good example of how you want to live, but because I've made so many mistakes and gone down so many blind alleys and explored so many possible ways to perceive life, I feel like, okay, I know a lot of the things we shouldn't be doing, and so that's where part of this all comes from. So I'm going to let this roll as the 61st, 2 years in, and I'm not going to share my age, but I'm not 20, so you got to give me a little credit for hanging around this long. I hope you get to hang around as long or longer and take a lot of pleasure and joy out of life. It is a miracle, and we're not in an environment. We're in a living matrix that's totally joined. We all breathe the same air. We're all part of maybe one big life, but we have a lot of trouble connecting to that idea, and we're not going to be here forever. So all this is my attempt to make sense, explain it, try to share some of what I feel are the valuable lessons that I've learned, and I hope it's of some benefit to other folks. It's a confusing age. It doesn't seem to be getting any easier, but it doesn't mean humans are different or that anything is going to be different. It's going to be the same stuff. The planet is going to keep revolving around the sun, hopefully for quite a bit of time, and the universe doesn't change. Only our attitude toward it changes, and we keep morphing, and our language morphs, and we make up new things, and a lot of the good stuff gets covered over, and people don't know our whole history, and that would be impossible. So anyhow, all right, I'm going to stop at about 22 minutes in. Thanks again. God bless. May you have a great day, and thank you for the use of the hall.